Ready? Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Of course, I'm Elena, and today's video is going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to talk about this topic because a few people have asked me, Elena, can you tell us what is the difference between an interior designer and an interior decorator? So this is what today's video is going to be, because you know what I've realized in Trinidad and Tobago is that there are some persons who will call themselves designers, but they're really not designers, they're decorators, and sometimes people kind of confuse the two. So I brought someone to join me so that we can have an intense discussion, and hopefully we'll be able to clear it up, as well as we're going to do some demonstrations, you know, so you all would be able to see some layouts and stuff like that. So this is a very wealthy video. Okay, you're gonna be learning today. All right, so before we get into that, I'd like to encourage everybody to subscribe, of course, to like and share, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. Right, nice. Now that we got all of that out of the way, I'd like to introduce you all to my buddy Nikisha Powder, and I have some questions for Nikisha before we get into the gist of everything. So just be patient, okay? No, don't touch it and go and look at another video. Just keep watching. You're not gonna regret it, okay? All right, so Nikisha, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to come and join me. But as I said, I have some questions that I prepared, and the first one is, how long have you been an architect?
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, you're welcome.
I graduated with a Bachelor of Architecture in 2011, and to be considered an architect, you have to be registered. So in Trinidad and Tobago, you have to do a 6-month practice course where you're like trained by other registered architects. Right. And at the end of this, you get an exam, and when you are successful, you can then call yourself an architect or a registered architect. That process happened in 2015, so I'm registered for four years.
All right, great, nice. Okay, so guys, you see I brought creme de la creme for you guys, okay? No fly by night, somebody who knows what they're talking about. Good? All right, so the next question is, what or who inspired you to become an architect?
And being an architect to me was second nature. From birth, I was always the child that would try to build the playhouses where all the other kids would come and hang out. So I was always responsible for that design and that structure, that makeshift structure, whether it's twigs or vines or random materials from the yard. You know, I was always that person, and that led me to being an architect today.
Okay, great. And what are your favorite type of architecture?
In architecture, in school, for example, you had to go back in the history. They taught us about the first structure ever found. I actually remember the name of that. And you go all the way to the current day. So I appreciate and I'm inspired by the historical architecture, such as the pyramids, Frank Lloyd Wright. But I am actually more interested in personally in modern architecture. I like clean lines. Sort of your structure has to have a meaning rather than being decorative, and that things have to have a purpose. So I'm more into modern design.
All right, good. So see, I don't have to go too fast. So when my house is gonna be designed, you know, I have my friend here because we have the same taste in terms of architecture. I love modern design. I'm not a traditional chick at all. Okay, so you know, I also like contemporary design, and you know, but when you start talking about traditional country style, no.
They all have their purpose.
They all have their purpose, like futuristic furniture and stuff like that.
Like if you're doing a restaurant,
if you're doing a restaurant,
sort,
have its place.
Yeah.
Have its place. But you know, you didn't. Where did you go to school actually?
I went to school at Bernard and Ann Spitzer School of Architecture. That's in New York City. It's under City College.
Right.
And I was actually the only black female student in my class.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
Hey. Where they say the chocolate chip in the cookie.
Yes.
Standing out.
It's very strange.
Yeah. Oh, that must be interesting.
Yes.
Interesting experience. You must tell me some more about that. But this brings me to my next question, which is, what are some of the challenges you faced as a young black female architect?
Good question. For example, if I had remained in the US,
Right.
and I tried practicing there, as most of my friends are, I would have to work for a company because it's a very saturated field in the US, and also it's considered like a boys' club. So for you to infiltrate that market on your own as a female and also being black would be very difficult. Whereas in Trinidad, I currently have my own business.
Yes.
And
which is named?
it's called CASM Architecture Limited, CASM Architecture Limited.
Okay. But are you on Instagram as well?
Currently, no. I'm actually sort of developing a portfolio.
Come on, Nikisha. We need you on the gram. Okay?
Well, I'm not too sure if the gram, like in my field, of course it would be a positive thing, but I think networking definitely is what gets...
But you never know who can see your work, you know.
But I'm definitely working on getting my work there on a platform.
Well, the picture that you sent me with your work, it's very impressive. She's good. She's good. All right, so call me and I'll put you on to her, all right? Okay, so I think I've asked you how long you've been practicing. I think you told me that already.
Initially,
all right, so my last question is, what advice would you give to a young person who wants to become an architect?
I would say to do your research. Research is very important. Like personally, what do you like about architecture? So that should dictate the type of school you go to.
Right.
When I went to college, for me, finances was a big determination of where I ended up going to. I remember I got into Howard University, but the cost of that was like so much more in comparison to where I ended up going. I transferred over to this other school instead, and it ended up being even a higher registered or known college. So for the architecture program, the architecture program was ranked higher. So it was cost effective and better recognized. Also, for a young person who wants to do architecture, architecture is very, very time consuming.
Wow.
You would have a lot of sleepless nights, and I think you need to be prepared for that.
Right.
And that's basically
it. Yeah. All right, good. Oh, yeah.
I just want to add one other thing. I think like I didn't answer this previously, but as a female in the construction sector, I think that we need to be careful of certain things that guys don't have to think about. For example, you need to be, the way you conduct yourself is very important. I know some people may take this the wrong way, but like sometimes you have to play that game. In particular, I remember one girl, like she would have long pink nails, makeup always well done, hair perfect way, 6-inch heels.
Yes.
And unfortunately, as a result of that, people would put her in a category of not being a good designer somehow.
Wow.
So, yeah, you have to be mindful of things like that. I'm not saying it's right, it's obviously wrong, but we are still in a place where it's male dominated. It's all boys dominated, actually, in Trinidad and Tobago also. You know, so just be mindful of things like that as a young female.
Wow. And well, you know, it's so interesting because as an interior decorator, which I'll consider myself to be an interior decorator, you know, it's like the total opposite, because you know you always have to be looking on point, because I had an experience just recently, which was I went into a store and I was approaching people and giving them, you know, my call cards, and I was telling them, you know, I'm an interior decorator, and I was looking a hot mess. Yeah, hair and a head ties, flip-flops, sweaty.
Yes, your first impression is always very important.
Yeah, the first impression. And I was like, I'm sorry, you know, this is not really like my look. I really do know to put myself together, but thankfully the persons that I approached, they were like, no, that's fine. And you know, they actually went and looked at my channel and they were impressed, and I got subscribers.
Nice, yeah. And it's more about being professional than you know, looking good or bad. You know, it's like, you know, not too much cleavage.
Yes.
And I hate that I have to say this, but it's a reality, because you get sort of classed.
Yes.
As, you know, like someone that is not too bright about the specific topic or whatever it is, you know. So it's just to have that balance, you know.
Yeah, classy but not overdone.
Yes, and as women, you know, of late, it's all coming into public now, but we often subjected, you know, you know, put in a certain category that you know, so just to avoid.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we took a short break and we're back. Hi. So we're getting into actually discussing the difference between an interior decorator and an interior designer. I will go first.
Sure.
Right? So I consider myself to be an interior designer, as I said, an interior decorator, sorry, as I said before, with interior design knowledge. I did some courses in interior design, but I still don't consider myself to be a designer because I did not go to university to further it. However, I believe I'm an excellent interior decorator, and I would say that because the knowledge that I have as in terms of interior design, for example, what colors you would use for a certain type of room, floor treatment. I could still give advice on, you know, choosing floor treatment, wall treatment, window treatments, lighting. You know, I remember when I was doing the course, the teacher was telling us that if you're an interior decorator, you have to be able to think outside of the box. So you don't want that you decorate someone's space and then when they walk in, they were like, but I could have done this. I didn't need you, you know? So you want to be actually be able to think outside of the box. Listen carefully to your client, what they would like. And of course, you bring your element, you bring your, what they call it, pizzazz.
Your personality.
Yes, your personality in it, you know. I too have, I would say I have a natural knack for interior decoration. Actually, my daddy, I have to say daddy, he was an architect, God rest his soul, and I had always loved it. I always love interior decorating, interior design. So I guess I sort of probably got that natural flair from him. But I do also have a very good eye, you know, for good stuff. And one thing I want to say as well, as an interior decorator, sometimes people think that because they have nice things in their home, it makes them a good interior decorator. That is not necessarily true. You know, some people have really nice stuff in their home, yes. However, it's all over the place, the placement of it. Sometimes you walk into someone's living room, it's very cold, you know, there's no warmth in it. So this is where a really good interior decorator can bring that knowledge to the client and tell them, hey, you know, this is what you need to soften up your space, you know, things like that. So I'm saying all of this to tell you guys, give me a call. give me a call. Christmas is coming. I know you all want your space to look really good, and I can give you all some advice on that. So I'll leave the rest for Nikisha.
I think I should start by doing a brief description of exactly what an architect is.
Right.
So an architect designs spaces. Just to give you, there's a very, very wide description, but I think that is a true description. We design spaces. So for example, you would buy a parcel of land, and your cadastral, which is what the document, that legal document that shows you the boundaries of the land. The architect basically designs a space or a house, a building, a commercial space for you from that cadastral alone. So you have certain setbacks that is stipulated by town and country planning. And from there, you would say, Nikisha, I want to have a modern design, or I want a 3-bedroom house, and you just, do something that's really nice. As an architect, you have to you think about the value that you're giving to the client.
Yes.
Like you need something that could, say for example, you need to move, resell. You want something that is different, something that represents you, rather than a typical cookie cut. That a lot of houses you see around, they're all the same. They don't see anything about the person that really lives there.
Yes.
So in terms of an interior decorator versus an interior designer, I would say an architect is sort of an interior designer.
As well.
That's part of it.
Yes.
But like, for example, you could hire someone that is an interior decorator to do like a renovation project.
Yes.
Say you have a space and you want to put a restaurant there. An interior designer could come and actually outfit the entire kitchen, but an architect could also do that. So it's like you have a sort of a gray area, and maybe on certain projects, like in some countries like England and America, we have large scale projects.
Right.
You bring in interior designers because they sort of do decorating also.
Yes.
So they do some structural stuff.
Right.
So like they'll do like cabinets, cupboards, kitchen countertops, layout furniture, choose paint.
Yes.
So it's sort of like you're having 2 in 1.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas if you hired an architect alone, some architects do go that detail, but what architects do also is that we do things that are fixed. So for example, we'll do tiles and we'll do fixtures, but like paint, we do that also, but not all the time. It doesn't have to be a part of our, the client could do that, unless they request it, but it's not always a part of our scope of work.
Yes.
So I think that is the difference, in my opinion, between the two.
Yeah,
or the three.
Or the three. I agree with you. We're along the same lines. I hope you're following and understanding what we're saying. But I really think that it's important that we know the difference. And the reason why, one of the reasons I would say, is that sometimes we think that the electrician can be the tileman, can be the painter, can be everybody. So someone may have the skill, yes, as an architect or an interior designer, but they don't have the flair or the the natural pizzazz, as they would say, in terms of bringing a space together. So once they have done all that beautiful work, because it's a lot of hard work, being an architect and a designer, once they have done that, then the decorator can come in, and once that decorator understands, even if they know just the basic about design, then the items that they choose, which is the accents and paint and all of that, would be much better for the client than they just know how to see a nice thing and buy it. And I think people run into that problem because they will hire a decorator, and all the decorator knows is that they have a good eye for nice things, but when you put it in its space, you realize it's still not looking.
And I would also recommend, like, if you're doing a home or a space, whatever that you're doing, that when the architect is hired, you should try to hire the interior decorator at maybe 75% of the way, because then you could coordinate everything from your cabinet finishes, because usually the architect will definitely include your cabinet work and like your countertop, so you want to coordinate everything like that with your decor, so it flows better.
Yes,
you know?
it does.
So it's better to incorporate all the designers at an earlier stage rather than after the fact. You know? But then you'll be like, oh my god, I wish I had chosen this countertop or these type of cabinets instead.
It's true.
Because they don't go with the look that I'm thinking of now. So.
And for me, as an interior decorator, if I know that the client is, you know, has a limited budget, I try to get pieces that I know 10 years later it would still look good in their space. Unless that client has the finances to change every year, 2 years, and the client is telling you, you know, I'm working with a very limited budget. You want to choose pieces down to the tiles and everything if you're giving advice in terms of renovation. Let's say somebody wants to renovate their kitchen. Good. Right now I know the subway tiles are going good, and marble, everybody is running after that. And that is something that is timeless. So you know that 10 years from now it's not looking dated, it's not looking like, oh, and then they're stuck with that. Sometimes they may want to sell their home and it's looking dated, like, you know what I'm seeing now, some people are selling their homes and it's so dated. And then the money that they're asking for, so people, you spend $3-4 million on a home and then you still have to find $3 million to renovate it. Whereas you can move into that home, even if it's 10 years, 15 years old even, and the kitchen still looks good. You know, the bathroom fixtures, it still looks good, you know, that kind of thing. But I can't wait for Nikisha to design my home. Oh, it's gotta be good.
Sure, once she can afford me.
Hey, no discount. Oh gosh, no discount. All right, so we're getting now into the layout.
Yes. I brought a sample layout to sort of do a walkthrough and explain what the design process is. This is it's like a summary of it. It's much more detailed than what I'm gonna describe, but I'm gonna basically show you one of my projects and describe, I guess, the process. What was the client's vision, and how the spaces sort of ended the way they are, and the overall look of the design.
And of course, this was a modern.
Yes, this is a modern design. Yes.
Okay, great.
Exactly.
Okay, so which rooms are you going to be targeting?
I'm going to do an overall of the main floor, and also I'll do a focus on the kitchen.
Okay, great.
And describe why the kitchen is designed the way it is, and what technical things you look for or look at when designing a kitchen that is important.
Right. Okay, so which area are you going to start with first?
So I'm guessing the drawings will be up now, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this particular project, the client wanted a very modern glass and steel design, basically. Also, he needed it to be a loft style, which means you have a double height space, and bedroom areas basically look over that, and so the living, dining, and TV area like a double height, like 24 feet basically.
Right.
So I'm going to show you 3 images, and then I'm going to walk you through the ground floor plan. So the first image shows you elevation of the project, so that's from a drawing that I developed, and the second image at the bottom is the project that is currently in construction, and the final image is like today from last week actually. How we developed the project is about 75% completed.
All right.
Okay. And so basically we're gonna walk through the floor plan, right?
Yes.
The client wanted the master bedroom on the ground floor. He wanted an office. Okay. Then we have a foyer entry area, we have a TV area, and we have a living room area. As you can see, this house is huge. It's 65 feet by 45 feet.
Wow.
Right? And the blue area is basically what I consider all the public spaces.
Okay.
So living, dining, kitchen, the office.
Right.
And then the area that is highlighted yellow, that is the private space, which is master bedroom, master bath, and master closet.
Right.
Right? So now I'm going to describe in a bit more detail the kitchen and how the layout was done. Right? How the layout was done and why certain things are the way they are. What is critical in a kitchen is your triangle, right? Your triangle is your sink, your refrigerator, and your stove or range, right?
Yes.
They have to be a certain distance from each other, else it becomes a bit awkward if it's too far away. So the maximum is actually, I think, around 22 feet. They should form a triangle where all the ends, when you add them up, they're not more than 22 feet.
Okay.
And they cannot be less than 12 feet.
Yes.
Right? If they are not, if you don't have a triangle, it's awkward. The kitchen wouldn't feel like you have to go too far, or somehow you feel like it doesn't work well when you're cooking and trying to use the space. So the triangle is actually highlighted in this drawing. In this drawing also, I have a counter. I have three. I have the end counter, then I have an island, and then I have another counter. If you notice, none of the items within the triangle are on the opposite side, because then it would be too far and it would be a bit awkward to get to. Because you need these three items to always be in close proximity to each other and easily accessible.
Yes.
So that's why that is that space.
Yes.
Also, like an island is something that is very you need a lot of space with an island in your kitchen, because you always need to get around it and you need to have clearance. Like, for example, if two persons are using the space, it's not like you're rubbing up against each other. You need to always have enough space. So like, I would always say, look at like the distances for a hallway, right?
Yes.
Like a hallway, you should have a minimum of 3 feet or more. The more the merrier if you could have that space.
Yes.
Every time you go down from 3 feet, then it becomes a bit awkward for two persons to use a space. And you always try to think of two persons using a space. But if you can't, then I guess 2.5 feet.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's the size of the kitchen and the hallway is important, especially if you have plans to be entertaining a lot.
Right. Yes.
So you don't want a small kitchen and you're going to be having guests over all the time, and you know it's uncomfortable. So I could totally understand, you know, that explanation. Right.
So this house in particular, the kitchen is actually larger than the master bedroom. You know, it has a lot of countertop and a lot of space.
My dream kitchen.
So, but it's still not like a chef's kitchen, you know? So,
yes.
So that is those three things. Well, not those three things. The triangle, meaning the three items in the triangle and distance from each other, is one of the most critical things, and also the passageways and how you could move around in this space. Also very important.
Okay.
And then you could see the type of cabinets. I'm a modern person, so I like those sort of, you just do a little finger click and it opens.
Right.
And I think I prefer the pull-out drawers now, where you could actually use organizers and everything is sort of inside, rather than the old school opening cabinets. So and details like that will determine your personality and what you prefer.
Exactly. Especially if you're going with a modern design, you don't want like modern design, but a very backdated way of accessing things. Yeah. You have to follow up and follow through.
Yes.
So it's not just, okay, I have a modern looking home, but you still, you know, doing things
and
in
a
a
lot of contractors tend to dissuade people from using new things, because they always say stuff like, oh, these spoil really fast, and a lot of the time, do your own research. They try to want to do things that are easier for them to do, and not necessarily give you the truth. Because recently I was buying a new water closet, a new toilet with some family of mine. It's like, no, they say these push knobs, they spoil so fast. But I'm like, that is all I know that exists now. I don't know them spoiling that fast. But they convince the person maybe because it's a bit trickier for them, or maybe they don't know how to.
That's the thing. I think it's that they just
selling
know
their trade rather than what is
what the client actually dreams about.
Right, and what is most useful and modern.
And what is most useful and modern. Yeah.
So
I can see my dream home, my modern home in the future, just press a button, and now they have like Alexa, flush my toilet.
That'd be great, right?
Alexa, bathe me.
Shower at medium temperature.
Shower at medium temperature. Dry my skin.
Wow, yeah, that's a bit.
That's great.
That's robot. So basically, that's just a brief of how we go about designing spaces, right? How we design the kitchen. As I said, you follow that triangle. You make sure your access around your island is very critical. In terms of size and being able to for two persons to pass by.
Right.
And generally, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So,
If you have any questions,
yes, of course.
you could always contact me at Chasm Architecture Limited.
Can you say that again so they could actually, well, maybe I'll have it at
On the bottom, yeah.
But it's Chasm Architecture Limited.
Yes, that's the name of my company.
Yes. So I have to get like 3 other jobs so I could afford Nikisha.
It's not
Just
that bad.
insulted me and told me, once you can afford me, whatever, I will be able to afford you.
Of course,
Okay?
of course, yes.
So I think we sort of like summed up everything.
Yes.
I really hope that you all appreciated this video. I really hope that you all enjoyed it and you took the time to actually sit down and listen to what, you know, Nikisha was saying, because I think the information dispensed is going to help you for a very long time, you know. And just like anything else, you have people out there who would always like to do shortcuts and not give you what you want. But even if you have your home already and you know, you just want to revamp it, give it a nice fresh look, call me.
And also, don't be afraid to hire an architect, because a lot of times what I've seen is people hire technicians. A technician is not someone that went to school to learn how to design. It's someone that learned, most of the times, a program. Like an architect, they work for architects. So, and they do drawings for people, but a lot of times people end up with things that they don't like, end up with designs that are horrible, and they always have to come back. I get a lot of calls from people that already have designs.
And you have to fix the mess.
Yes, I have to go and assist. And what people don't realize is that doing work on top of someone's work is actually more expensive. You're not saving, because I now have some boundaries to work with that makes my design more difficult.
Yes.
So be aware of that and just call an architect first.
Yeah, because you end up spending more money.
Yes. And we're trained to do this, so.
Yes. I think this is education that a lot of people need to hear and to know, because we hear of those horror stories all the time where these contractors come and say, yes, I can do this, and they sell you a dream, they make you feel that they can do everything, and then hot mess. You know, so thank you all for watching. Again, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks to Nikisha Powder for dropping by and assisting me with this very important video.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh yes, and you'll come back, because I mean, there is so much more to discuss, you know. We'll pull things apart, we'll talk about lighting, you know, and then we'll talk about like wall treatments, because there are different types of wall treatments. We could delve into that. And you know, I can always talk about different accents, furniture, you know, because yes, I do have knowledge in that as well. So
yeah, and I can talk about the layout.
And she can talk about the layouts. Yes, so take care and see you guys next video. Bye bye.
Also, I just forget the question. What's it called again?
Oh my god.
So basically, we're gonna walk through the floor plan, right?
Yes.
So actually, I don't. The problem is, how do I describe the floor plan? You know, while I'm taping, I don't know. It's a bit weird.